So this is a quick overview and just a quick example of how and when to eat carbohydrates. So traffic light system means red is stop, orange is slow down, have less, and then green is go. So for example, if we look at days when we do need carbohydrates, typically are the days we are training. The days that we don't need as much carbohydrates really is around the days that you're taking off and that you're not doing intense activities like running or training. We wouldn't, for this example, for most of our clients, we wouldn't count walking as intense training. So for this purpose, let's talk through it. Firstly, Monday. Green means go, have carbohydrates or some format of carbohydrates in the morning time because the client here is going training. After training, then you've had carbohydrates before. You don't need a huge amount then afterwards, but you still do need some amount. Again, before training, having carbohydrates before training will replenish and give you enough energy and muscle glycogen to perform the training session. And following your training, then you'll have some then too. And again, following that as well, we're going to have carbohydrates again because we're also getting ready to prep for going running later on. Then we'll go running later on, carbohydrates afterwards as well. This doesn't mean just carbohydrates. This means a portion of carbohydrates in those main meals. Tuesday then it's a day off, so essentially there's no real carbohydrates needed because we replenished from the day before we had carbohydrates after we ran. So Tuesday then is we have the day off. So red means don't need carbohydrates, mainly protein, fats, and vegetables, as many vegetables as you want. And then walking in the evenings, have some. And again, some carbohydrates in the evening times as well. Those complex carbs are also very, very good for you. And again, sometimes simple carbohydrates, like some porridge actually in the evening time, can actually help with sleep. So allocating some of our calories to carbohydrates there in the evening time. Wednesday, again on Wednesday, we're training again. So again, some carbohydrates as needed, train, and then carbohydrates afterwards. Again, here you can see for this particular client, this day isn't as heavy as training, so there's less green, so they're not as heavy on carbs. Thursday then, day off again, so similar enough to Tuesday. But again, they're having some carbohydrates there in the morning time. Friday, then a training day, having some carbohydrates there again. Again, similar enough. And then Saturday and Sunday, they're only walking on Netflix, so they're not heavy on the carbs. But Saturday evening, they are heavy on the carbs because they're having a takeaway or whatever that is. So it's just about creating a traffic light system, okay? If you're training and doing a heavy training session and heavy training day, you do need carbohydrates dotted in and around that day. Again, you'll find from the guide above of complex carbohydrates, simple carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates, you want more of them after your training session. And then on non-training days, you don't need as many carbs. So maybe stick with complex carbs. You're going to have any carbohydrates on training days. Again, this is just a very general guide or insight. But again, the best thing to do is that you want to earn your carbohydrates, so to speak, is what I heard once from somebody. So earning carbohydrates means that, for example, if you're going training, well, then you do need carbohydrates. And again, this is just a very straightforward guide. We're not nutritionists, but hopefully this will help indicate to you of how to use a traffic light system and get you thinking of when you should be eating carbohydrates and what for.